All right, y'all. We here. I was having a moment on that Beyonce. That's part of my morning music. But welcome, welcome, welcome to JAUSI Land, where we have transformational coaching, real conversations, and deep, deep clarity. Now, if you've been here before, I want to say welcome back. But if this is your first time here, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay? Like they do in the church. Y'all, welcome, welcome. But I just want to tell you the reason why they call me Jazzy J, because I love the jazz genre of music. And why? Because it's just like life. Jazz is a genre of music that has regular patterns infused with chaotic rhythms and forceful notes. And it's all based in improvisation and adaptability. And when those regular patterns and those chaotic notes come together, it makes a melodious and harmonious sound. And that's just like life. And the reason I'm here today and doing these lives is because I was in some regular patterns. And when I was 12 years young, I had a chaotic note to come in. And that chaotic note came in from a family member who was had the religious coding at that time of Jehovah's Witness, and asked me a question about what I was going to do when I died. Because the inference was that if I wasn't a part of the 144,000, that I was going to hell for eternity. And that gave me a huge negative, traumatic night where I paced the floor, I cried, I punched in my pillow, I cussed, I fussed, and I asked God, the God that I envisioned then, which was a older version of Jesus, up in the sky looking at everything. But I asked God, what is this for? What are we doing? What kind of God does this? We come here for a period of time and then we die, and if we don't say I'm sorry before of these sins, that we're going to go to hell forever. Eternity is like forever. So it's like after a million years I can't get out. You know, it just didn't make any sense to me. And so that morning I felt a feeling that I had never felt before. And the only way I could describe it to you is liquid love that just flowed through every part of this form. Exponentially multiplied by compassion, exponentially multiplied by joy, exponentially multiplied by bliss. It was just this immense feeling. And I said, I want to know. I want to know what this is, what we're doing, and why we're here. And so that's why I'm here tonight. So, if you're here for the first time, I want you to go back and look at the previous lives to kind of catch up. Because we're in the yellow submarine over here. We're going to keep going a little deeper. So, the first thing I start out with is asking the question, do you see okay? Is this in the frame? This is in the frame. Okay. Do you see okay? I'm talking to my producer, y'all. Producing here because I can't see what's going on. And COK stands for circumference of knowledge. Everyone has one, a circumference of knowledge. If you do this, and this is your circumference of knowledge, within this circumference of knowledge is everything you trust, everything you believe, everything you have faith in, your perceptions, your emotions, all of that is in here, in this space. So if this is my circumference of knowledge, this room that I'm in is what I don't trust, what I don't believe, what I don't have faith in. People, we gonna be out here. We gonna be in the room, okay? And I don't care how large your circumference of knowledge gets. If your circumference of knowledge grows to the point where it is the entire planet Earth, then the galaxy, the universe, that's what you don't know, what you don't trust, and what you don't have faith in. So just keep an open mind on the information that I will share, and look it up for yourself, because the information I'm sharing is not new. It's ancient, and it's out there. And all you have to do is Google it. All right? But we're going to talk about that tonight. So, that's that. And I always touch on mind, because mind is all. Consciousness is all. That's what we are. That's what everything is. And so within this form, we have a conscious and a subconscious mind. The difference between the two minds is your conscious mind is your creative, imaginative mind. And your subconscious mind, which is the mind below, is your programmable, conditioned, coded mind. Which means when you come here, you're empty, you're void. But we're talking about the game of life. And this is the base level. We come here as baby infants, and we're empty and we're void of any information. But the Spirit of God, the conscious mind, is within us. Now, when we come here, depending on, and this is the base level of the game, we're IPC. We get a family name, so families have codes. We develop a personality which governs our personal reality. That's a code. And this is really your ego. This is your ego, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. And then you're born into an ethnicity, culture. All cultures have codes, okay? So we get coded on money. You know, I ain't got no money for that. Money don't grow on trees. Code of lack, scarcity. We get coded on our dreams and aspirations. I want to be an artist. No, we're a family of doctors. We're a family of lawyers. You're going to this school. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Spirituality, religion. This is something where we're given a God. You know, think about how you got introduced to the God that you believe in. Okay? Health and wellness, the things that we eat and put in our bodies. Some people are born Muslim and they never ate pork, or, you know, the things that they don't eat. When I married my husband now, they were, his family's Seventh-day Adventist, and they didn't eat pork. They didn't eat, what was some other, shrimp and crab. I grew up on shrimp and crab. So, but now I'm allergic to it, so it don't even matter. But just health and wellness, the things that you put in your body. And then emotions. Emotions are huge, because emotions are the fuel of the subconscious mind. So, depending on the people that were around you, whether it be your mother, your father, your grandmother, you were adopted or whatever, the people that were around you in your formative years, depending on how high their emotional intelligence was, that's really about where emotions come from. If they're reactive, then the child will probably be reactive. to everything. Or if they were calm and responsive, then the child will be calm and responsive when emotional triggers happen. And then you got relationships. Again, was it a home where relationships were nurtured and valued? Or was it a home where there was chaos and negativity and fighting? All of these social engagements. So now when you get this in your home, you come out into the world and you exhibit those same types of codes. Okay? So know that when a child comes in the world, this is part of the game. When a child comes into the world, a child comes into a family as a potential being to break generational codes of that family. If you are a Christian, generational curses. They say go down to 4. Every child that comes in is the potential. But a child in the game, you have to get past the codes. And that's what we're talking about. So just because you're female doesn't make you divine feminine. And just because you're a male, it doesn't make you a divine masculine. There is a difference to having a male form and being a divine masculine, and a difference of having a female form and being a divine feminine. Now let me see if I got my definition of divine. Divine, of, from, or like God, or a God. Points to qualities of God, God-like, connecting us to a greater purpose beyond the physical world, involving inner knowing, universal connection, and alignment with spirit. And see, when I said your circumference of knowledge, everything that you belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. And it's right in the word, L-I-E. If you believe the lie, you'll live a life of trauma and drama, and you won't know that you are a divine feminine or a divine masculine. You won't know. That's the point that I will call the powers that be. They don't want you to know. They know how you work. They know how your nervous system works. They know how your mind works. So they keep you bombarded with constant negative news. They know that your body carries those low frequencies. We're going to talk about that one time, how your body, negativity affects your body without you even knowing it. But we'll talk about that another time. So we have taken a deep dive into duality, okay, and what that is and why that is. But know that once this coding takes place from 0 to 7 years, your subconscious mind is on autopilot, and it is basically in control. That's why you could say, I'm going to go on a diet. And your body said, no, we ain't doing that. Or you say, I'm going to start working out. And then it rains outside. You know, it's raining today. I'm not going to go. You go join the gym, but then you say, oh, man, it's 6 o'clock. No machines are going to be open. I'll go tomorrow. That's your body talking. That's your coding talking. That shows that you're not in control. Your body that is on autopilot is in control. Because if you're operating out of 95% of your subconscious programming, you're operating out of 5% or less than your conscious, God conscious mind. Okay? So, We have been in Genesis talking about duality. And we have broken down God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form. See, you're looking at me and you're looking at my form, but you're not looking at me. We're all spirit beings, and because we are the infinite and finite form, in our minds, we think God is supposed to look like us. So that's what, Jesus and all that came from. Jesus was real, but Jesus was a divine masculine. Okay? And I've talked about before where this book comes from and how it was remixed by the Nicene Council. So check that out. So we were talking about duality last week. And so masculine and feminine. Let me put this one over here again. We talked about how spirit separated from itself to see itself. Okay? So now we live in duality or polarity. So the goal of the game is to come back into oneness within your form. Because even though I'm in a female form, I have masculine and feminine energy within the one form. So we'll just go, the last thing, we'll go on to 1 verse 3. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. I'm going to say that again. God divided the light from the darkness. Now, if you go back and look at my previous ones, close your eyes and you're going to see God. You see vast, limitless, infinite space. But the energy and the consciousness that is telling you that you see nothing is the consciousness, the fractal energy of God that you are. Even with our eyes open, we see 0.0035% of what is really here. So really, you're not seeing the whole spectrum. And this is physics, y'all. Y'all could just Google metaphysics and they will tell you this. So even with your natural eyes, and you say you can see, you can't see, we are not seeing 1% of what's really happening. But when you close your eyes and you see that darkness is the consciousness of God. Now, God calls in the light. We talked about light. We talked about Lucifer, son of the morning. We talked about how you are, just as percent per 100, you are a person. God said, let there be light. You're the light, people. You are the son of the morning. You are the person, S-U-N. They capped the U and made Jesus God, son of God. But you are the S-U-N of God. You are the light. You are the light bringer, the light bearer. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from darkness. Now here we go in duality again. God divided the light from darkness. I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you got. I don't none of that even matters. You will experience darkness in this life. That's part of the game. That's why we live in duality, because you don't know joy unless you've experienced pain. You don't know happiness unless you've been sad. Duality. So God divided the light, and we have explained in you, within us, we have the duality of being Lucifer, the light bringer, the light bearer, or the sacrificial lamb, the vessel of the sacrificial lamb. We talked about the waters, where in the first verse, or in the first chapter, it's talking about the waters. And that water is amnion, Greek, a vessel in which the blood of a sacrifice was caught. If you are the fractal energy of God, and you come here in the earthly realm, you're sacrificing. See, this whole thing, they got us mixed up. Like, people cry when a baby is born. People cry when somebody dies. When we're born, we die. And when we die, we go back to our original essence, which is spirit. It's just like planting a seed. When a seed is planted in the earth, in the ground, it dies to bring forth a bloom, or fruit, or a vegetable. Same thing. When over there in Isaiah, when the Lord says, whom shall I send? Whom shall I send to this family lineage to help break up this coding, this family coding? Yeshua said it best. Your tradition nullify the truth. So in every lineage, there is traditions that's nullifying the truth. So when he said, whom, see, I'm coded, he. God is not a gender. God is a spirit, an energy, an impartial energy. So God says, whom shall I send? And so the fractal energy of God says, send me. I'll go. Send me. I will sacrifice. I will come into a vessel, a form, and sacrifice my spiritual essence as a vessel for the lamb. The connection likely refers to the vessel used to catch the blood of a sacrificed lamb. And so, who did they tell us in this Bible was the sacrificed Lamb of God? They tell you it's this one individuation of the fractal energy of God, of Yeshua. But it's us all. Yes, Jesus was real. Yes, Jesus walked the earth. But Christ is a consciousness. It's not Jesus' last name. So here, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. So just as you can close your eyes and see God, when you open your eyes, everything you see is God. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Everybody on this planet go through a night. And that night is supposed to propel you to find the light. That's a good one. That's bars, y'all. That's a jazz note right there. The light. That night is supposed to propel you to find the light. From the coding, the light within you. For you to know that you're the light bringer, that you're the light bearer, that you came here. You sacrificed yourself to come here, to come into form. That's why family members talking about you and talking about you crazy. That you feel alone because you're here to break up the generational coding. So others who are coded, they're going to think you crazy. But we're gonna talk about that. He called, so the evening and the morning were the first day. Did you catch that? The evening and the morning was the first day. You go through the darkness. You go through the evening. And then you see the light. But what the religious construct will have you believe is that the light is something outside of you. And it's not. It's simply not. So, I'm going to read to you what I got from my divine download. So we're talking about as above, so below. The macro, the micro. Okay. And we're talking about the game of life because this is a huge, grand game where the creator is playing hide and seek. But see, we'll get into it. Okay. One huge aspect in the game is that you cannot see yourself. Why? As above, so below. Source could not see itself. Source is an energy, an impartial energy of love. In oneness, Source couldn't see the multitude of dimensions, beings, objects, worlds within. Okay? Have you ever known somebody or met somebody or a family member? You see the world of potential in them. You see everything that they can do. You see the gifts that they have, the skills that they have, and they don't see it. They don't see it. See, this is an aspect of the game. You can see it in them, but they don't see it in themselves. See, this is Source. Source couldn't see it within itself. And everything I'm talking about, what Source did is what we are. So Source couldn't see itself. That's an aspect of the game for you. You can't see yourself. You can see stuff on other people, but you can't see nothing on you. Source couldn't see itself. You can't see yourself. That's an aspect of the game. So, on the micro level of our being, we cannot fully see ourselves as within us. In order for source to see itself, it separated from itself and imagined its reflection through all of these beings. Source imagined its reflection in the angelic / galactic beings, human beings, animal beings, and plant beings. And it's way more than that, people. That's what we know in the third dimension. This is why the Bible states that we are made in the image, the imagination of God. Now, back to the game. You cannot see your true sacred self because of the coding, programming, and indoctrination that occurs when we arrive in this third dimension. Therefore, we do not elevate, evolve, or expand because of the coding. We just fall in line with the coding and do what everybody else is doing, even though we came here to be energetic disruptors. We diminish our frequency to that of a robot instead of an eternal being that we are. We get all enamored with, I want to find my person, the relationship. I need more money. I don't have enough money. I want to do this. I want, emotions, money, dreams, aspirations, health. I know many of you know, I just said that. You talk to people, you see people, you see their talents, their gifts, and everything that they have. You talk to them, and the worse they get, or they don't change. They double down on the coding and on the programming. Okay, and now we're about to introduce a new word. They have essentially created an egregore. All right. Now, so just like Source created from its mind, the imagination, us, humans, create egregore. So and you see how it sounds so much like ego. So let's talk about an egregore. An egregore is an autonomous psychic entity or group thought form created and sustained by the shared emotions, beliefs, and intentions of a group of people. I'm going to say that again. An egregore is an autonomous psychic entity or group thought form created and sustained by the shared emotions, beliefs, and intentions of a group of people. Okay. Now, I'm going to define autonomous for you because I said, let me see what that means. Autonomous. Having the freedom to govern itself or control its own affairs. People, you are a being having the freedom to govern yourself and control your own affairs. So just as God created all of these beings, we create egregores stemming from our ego, that has been programmed with emotions, beliefs and intentions of a group of people. The people that you came into this realm to break up the generational coding. But when you get coded, you create your ego. You ease God out. You can be a victim ego, easing God out, or you could be an elevated ego, victorious ego, by elevating God outwardly, which is your true essence, which is who you are. But an egregore, there's so many that we create. We create them. It ain't enough money. I ain't got enough money. Money don't grow on trees. Money is literally a tree with ink on it. And if you go outside, wherever you are, you're going to see money. We come from abundance. There is no lack. Dreams and aspirations. I want to do this, but I can't because of this, and this. I want to start a sewing business or be a fashion designer, but I can't because I got to go work this job, pay my bills. You could work a job and sew. Social media is out here. You could put out your stuff on social media when you had time. You could carve out an hour in a day. I really want to be an artist. I love to draw, but I'm an accountant. Dreams and aspirations, egregore. Spirituality, religion. I'm talking, but and I can only talk of how I came up. I came up in Catholicism, Catholic, and Christianity. And most, the people, I don't really talk to people, but when I was on this journey and was talking to a few of my inner circle, I'm going to hell. You program. You program to believe. And in the first verse of the book, it said God created the heavens and the earth. It ain't say nothing about no hell. And I told you how the book was remixed. They put it in to keep you fearful. They know how your body works. Most people that go to church only because they trying to escape hell. They think somebody up there checking our list. Yeah, I went to church today. I went to church. Because they come out them doors and do whatever, whenever, however. But they go to church as a checklist. Because they think, if I do this, I ain't going to hell. If I keep the Sabbath, I ain't going to hell. If I do all these things, they don't have nothing to do with nothing. But that's what we're coded to believe. And if you believe the lie, you're going to live a life of trauma and drama. And belief is just a thought that you keep thinking. Why? Because you've been coded to think that thought. See, if you're a real man, a man don't cry. That's why you got so many young men unaliving themselves, because they're not taught about the feminine energy, the nurturing, the sensitivity. Yes. So they can't release the emotion. So they keep it all bottled up and they can't take it no more. Because of the egregore. You ain't no real man. You ain't nothing. If you was a real man, you do this. If you was and then you got that. You got the feminine too. Oh, you can't cook. You can't clean. You ain't no real woman if you don't know how to cook and clean. You ain't no real woman if this and that. All of that. Codes. It's cheaper to keep her. Toxic relationships. Just staying in them. Just so you could say, I'm married. And everybody out doing what they want to do. And look. Do you? Do you? But when I'm here because I know it's a lot of modalities out there, meditation, and I'm not saying these things are wrong. Reiki healing and cleansing energy, and because I do some of these things myself, but until you know their spirituality, it becomes just like the church. People just doing stuff to say they're doing it. When you don't know the truth, and the truth is that you are God. And the real blaspheme is not being exactly, genuinely, authentically who you are. And see, when you know you're God, you know sex is sacred. So you ain't running out here trying to have any and everybody run up in you. Or run up in and everybody. Because you know it's something spiritual going on in that intercourse. You're not just having babies to say you're going to have a baby. You have a baby to guide them, to lead them into their true purpose for being on this planet. Not to code them to think like you think. And tell them they ain't going to be nothing, they ain't going to have nothing. You're just like your daddy, you're just like your mammy. All that stupid stuff. When you know the truth. But when you don't know the truth, you come down here and get coded to it's cheaper to keep her. You better go to church on Saturday. You better go to church on Sunday. You get coded to this stuff. You're not living your dreams. And then health and wellness. That's why we are in the situation, this country, this world is in the situation that we're in now. We don't know what to put in our form. We get addicted to processed foods. The foods that's not real. And then the real food, we say, I don't eat that. I don't eat that stuff. They come from the earth. It's nourished by the sun. That's why we're supposed to eat from the earth. Because we are persons. S-U-N. The sun gives the nutrients to the plants. Plant beings. We ingest the plant beings. Which is the best and optimal for our bodies. In the book, it says 74 or whatever that is, 70-something years. But we got people, it's blue zones where people living over 100 years of age. And I ain't talking about no decrepit people either. They ain't walking around on canes and riding around Walmart and scooters. None of that. But because this is what you're coded to believe, this is what is happening. Emotions. We are so reactionary. I was in Walmart this past week. buying some plants for our community agricultural demonstration site that we got out here. And I was in there looking at the plants, and a Walmart worker came through, you know, the outside. And maybe 3 or 4 seconds later, a man came through. And he said, you ain't hear me? And the Walmart worker said, I heard you. I got an order to get out. And then the man said, I done been here out. I don't care nothing about no damn order. You got to get out. And the lady said, and then the Walmart worker said, I told you I'd get to it. He said, that's what's wrong with y'all motherfuckers right now. You don't care nothing about the country. You don't give a damn. Don't give a shit about us. And I mean, I'm watching. Because I want to make sure that nobody have nothing. But I just was watching it, looking at these two, and that both of them were older. They might have been like around my age. And they hollered and carried on so, and then they took it back in the store. And I was just like, wow. I was looking at the whole scenario, the part of it I caught. And I was like, that could have been handled so much better. But emotions. When you don't understand, overstand, and understand emotional intelligence, you are going to stay in fight or flight in your body. Disease. That's why our bodies are all the elements, but the fractal energy that is God is the fire element. Fire is the only element that transmutes. It takes wood and paper and all of these things and transmutes it into ash, into another substance, into smoke. And we talked about that. The dream is in the steam. So when you do not know how to do that, now you in the ice. Ice is dense. It's hard to break through. So that encompasses, that's all that's happening within your form. Within this vessel. Not understanding, overstanding, and understanding that you are a spiritual being. When you look in the mirror, you don't see you. You see the form. You do not see the spiritual essence of you. That comes from coding. Just imagine if when a child comes into this earthly realm and told that it was God, and told that it's here to make a divine deposit for humanity, that it has skills and gifts within. And the child may say, well, what do I know? I don't know. What do you love to do? What makes you feel good in here when you do it? And the child said, well, I like swimming. I like gardening. I like talking. And so now, okay, well, let's plant a garden. Let's go to the pool. Could be Olympian. I like singing. I like dancing. I like seeing how things work. I like science. And that is nurtured within the child. Our son is a pilot. And he said, he told his grandma he wanted to be a pilot at 9. I don't know no pilots. I didn't know any pilots. But I didn't say, boy, you ain't gonna be no pilot. Go sit yourself down somewhere. There ain't no pilots in this family. Who do that? How you gonna fly? How you gonna fly? How you gonna learn how to fly? And we went to his graduation, and I went in assembly. In this assimilation plane. Let me tell you, if I was flying, everybody did, because I ain't know. He was trying to explain it to me, and I was amazed. Because I was like, you get all this? But even though I thought he would want to be something else the next week, I did not say, we don't know nothing about me. You don't know nothing about being no pilot. You can't be a pilot. But children are told that. And they're not nurtured and brought up. They're told the life they're supposed to live, instead of allowing them to live the life they were born to live. We were all born for a purpose. So your ego creates entities of anxiety, entities of hate, entities of racism, entities of I can't do this. Conscious mind is constantly talking. While I'm talking, your subconscious mind is talking. Janelle don't know what she's talking about. I knew her when she was this or she did that. She done been divorced. She done been bankrupt. But it is to propel you into the light. Everybody will have their light. But it's a catalyst for the light. For you to shine bright, baby, for the God that you are. Now, I've been told my time is up. If you all have questions, please, you can put them in the comments and I can see them. I don't know how this is landing for you unless you have a question or a comment. Now, I can go back and look at the lives and see that I only got 6 subscribers, y'all. It's 6. But the videos, I can see the views. I go back and watch them just to make sure that, you know, I'm coherent and that I understand what I'm saying. But the views are like 55 and 35 and 45 views on the videos. So even if you're re-watching the video, and I love it, that's great. But if you have a question, put it in the comments so I can answer your question. Because I know this is deep information. All I can do is share. But it's within you. And if you're re-watching, that's your soul. Sources outsourced universal love that is connecting. Through all the coding, something I'm saying is resonating with your soul. So please, ask questions if you have them. I love you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching these lives. Because the more that we are awakened to this knowledge that is within us, the more that the earth, the new earth, will come into fruition. The new earth is not like a new earth is going to be. It's a new consciousness. That the true consciousness of God is going to return. The Christ consciousness. So with that, people, it's your girl Jazzy J, and I say jazz love, jazz do it, jazz on the journey, and always, and I do mean always, remember in life to jazz as you see it loves. Mwah!